Hi, I'm Rocky Oliver with HCL Labs, and this is part two of our VoltScript Venture series, Introduction to VoltScript and Visual Studio Code. This time we're going to take a look at setting up our VoltScript project inside VS Code. We're going to go over the VS Code IDE a little bit, make some suggestions on how you should organize your project code, and how to use things like VoltScript script libraries to better organize your code and make it more reusable. We'll also discuss the parallels with writing load the script in Domino where appropriate, and also some of the areas where they differ. Let's get started. Here we are inside Visual Studio Code. Now, we're not going to go through and teach you every little bit and piece of Visual Studio Code. If you want to learn more about the IDE itself and the power it has and the things you could do with it, I recommend watching the walkthroughs like Getting Started with VS Code. Today, we're just going to dive right in and show how to use Visual Studio Code to write VoltScript. First thing we want to do is begin by opening the folders, and let's create a place for our projects to exist, a repository directory. So I'm going to call mine repos. So let's say repos. And then inside repos, I need to create my project directory. And today I think I'm going to call it VS Playground. So we'll go in here and we'll create a directory, VS Playground. And then we're just going to select it and select folder. And you'll notice it goes ahead and creates us our project folder inside our Explorer. The next thing we're going to do, let's create a file to hold our Visual Studio Code. So we can we could go up here and say new file, and we're going to type in a name. So let's call it Hello World. Good old classic Hello World. VSS, Visual Studio Script Library. And we're going to place it in the VS Playground, create file, and now we have the VS Code library. One of the things you're going to notice is because we have the VSS extension on our file name, it automatically knows the language that we're writing is VoltScript. Remember earlier we installed the extensions for VoltScript, so that's how it knows what language we're in. Let's start out with something very simple. This will be very familiar to those who've written LotusScript. We're just going to do a print statement for Hello World. So we say print, if I can spell right, print Hello World. Notice I'm getting help for text also. So now that we've got some code written, we'll hit save, and let's try running it. The easiest way to run it is to hit Control F5, and if you just press enter, it's going to run it. When you do that, it opens up a terminal and it runs your code. Notice that it just basically sends to the terminal's prompt VoltScript, which is the exe, and the file we're going to run, which is the Hello World file. And it runs it. There's our Hello World statement. But as you know, when you write any kind of code, it's good to organize your code into subs and functions. So let's take our print statement, let's put it inside a sub initialize. Also, if you want to use some of the more powerful features in VoltScript, such as the try catch block, it has to be inside a sub function. So let's go ahead and just type in sub initialize, and then we'll go ahead and hit enter. You'll notice that I get some auto help text, and it shows a little bit about, again, it goes ahead and pre-writes some comments for you and then adds print hello world, but that's not right. So you got to be careful when you use the auto help text that the code that it writes for you, generates for you, is actually correct. So let's take out this print hello world, and let's just move our print statement up into our sub. So we'll copy it, and we're going to go up here and paste it in. Now, we'll save it, Control S. We could go down here in the terminal. We can hit Control F5 again if we wanted to run the code. Or if you just hit up, it'll bring back up the last thing that was ran on the prompt, and we can hit enter and run it again. And see, it works the same. Now, for those of you that have written in LotusScript before, you know that there are certain things that the Domino designer for Eclipse will do for you to kind of pre-set up your code, such as adding option public and option declare. The VS Code doesn't do that for you, so we need to do it ourselves. So let's go up here, and we're going to add in an option public. and let's add in an option explicit or option declare. Those are synonymous. So we can hit enter, and now we've got the option public and option explicit statements. Now, for those of you not as familiar with LotusScript or with coding in a Visual Basic type scripting language, let me explain what option public and option explicit do. Option public basically allows your subs and functions inside your library to be available to other code that calls it. Option explicit or option declare forces you to declare all of your data types and variables and assign a data type to your variables. It makes for cleaner code and reduces the opportunity for mistakes. Okay, now that we have a print statement, let's add something else to help with troubleshooting and error trapping. Let's add in a try catch. Now this is something new compared to what we used to have in LotusScript, where you'd have to set up like an on error block to do some rudimentary error trapping. Now we can do something very simple called a try catch. And all you have to do is if you start typing try, you'll see that you can either do a try catch or a try catch finally or a try finally. We're going to use a try catch. Notice it automatically pre-populates it for you. Ignore the suggested text there, but you've got print error, and it'll go ahead and just print your error down below. So like if I were to just throw an error in my block here, you can see that. So if I say error 1000, this is an error. And if I run this, you'll notice it says error. This is an error on line 6. So it goes ahead and runs the print and comes out. Notice also it still runs the hello world because we've caught the error and it just continues to run outside the block. So that's why we have the hello world as well. So let's go ahead and move our print statement back up into our try block where it should be. This way it makes it a little more realistic. There we go. So now if we run it, it will, I can come down here once again, up arrow. You can see we got back to our hello world. All right, let's try something a little fancier. Let's go ahead and add a sub in. And we'll make a sub that's called echo text. So we'll say sub echo text. And we'll do, text to string. And then what we're going to do is instead of having we'll do our print statement in here. So it'll echo any kind of text we pass into it. So let's come in here and we're going to say print text. Now we'll come up here and we'll change this to simply call echo text hello comma world. That way we'll know that we got it. And if we save it and run it, we'll see we got hello comma world. So it's echoing whatever we pass in. Now, what if we wanted to make echo text something that we could reuse? That's where we'd stick our subs and our functions into libraries, which Hello World's a library as well, but we can make a reusable library and call it something like functions. So let's organize our code a little bit. Let's come in here, we're going to add a new folder. Let's call it lives for libraries. And inside lives, let's create a new file and let's call it functions, if I could spell, functions.vss. And now inside functions, let's go grab our sub, our hello world sub, or echo text sub. And we're going to come back here and we're going to stick it in here. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my option public. That makes this library available to be called from inside here or other libraries. And I'm going to go ahead and add my option explicit, and I'll add in my sub. And I'm going to save it. Now, how do I use this? It's very similar to what we would do in LotusScript. We're going to use a use statement. So we're going to come in here and we're going to say use, and you'll notice it automatically picks up our live, that we're going to do lives functions. Now, notice that it's still an error. The reason for that is whenever you're loading a function using a use statement, it can't have an extension. So let's take the extension off. And now notice that the red squiggly went away, so that means it's working. And also it noticed that echo text is resolving as well. So if we save it and we come down here and run it again, you'll notice it works. So we could change this to say, calling our sub. And just to double check and make sure it's working, we hit enter, calling our sub. So now you know how to use a library that you can have reusable functions and subs and how to load it into your VoltScript library code that you're using. And that concludes our part 2 quick introduction to using VoltScript and VS Code. In part 3, we're going to jump into using extensions in VS Code and how to get those extensions using dependency management. So stay tuned and thanks for watching.